Welcome back. American elections, part one. It's 2 days from the American elections. Why is this important? It's very important because we have two options, and neither of these options is very good for the rest of the world. If it's Trump back again, the first thing that he said he would do is mass deportation of foreigners, mass deportation of immigrants. Millions and millions of people who live in the United States will be chased and hounded and basically kicked out, humiliated. It's a horrible scenario. And the other aspect of Trump is that women going down and down and down. Everybody knows that he has a problem with women, especially intelligent women. And so his victory would be very, very complicated. And of course, war. It's always about war. And another thing, he has warned all the countries who will stop using the dollar that they will suffer terrible consequences. They're already suffering terrible consequences. His trade war from 2016 has been on and on. It's been almost 10 years of trade wars. And the people that have suffered, the economies that have suffered, have been Europe and the United States. There's been inflation. The inflation is caused by trade war. There's been unemployment. It's caused by trade war. Many of the major economies of the world have taken their money out of the United States, out of treasury bonds. It's very bad for America and for American banks. They are being decapitalized. The money is going back to India, to China, to Russia, to all the other countries, Nigeria, and these countries are buying gold. Why gold? Because everybody agrees on gold. Why should the Americans be allowed to print dollars and decide on how much the dollar is going to cost for each currency? Gold is a universal product and has universal value. And the new economic system of the BRICS is going to be based on gold. So all of these principal economies of BRICS have been buying gold so that they will join all the gold that they have in their central banks to give a solid base, a solid background for the future BRIC currency, for the BRIC trading system. And of course, Trump is, we are the greatest, we are the best, we are everything, and he would not like people de-dollarizing, moving away from the United States. On the other hand, Harris represents continuation of Biden, the Palestine war, and Israel doing whatever it wants. Netanyahu doing whatever he wants. More and more war, more and more bombs, and the American arms industry making money. When they send aid to Ukraine, it's not money they're sending. They're paying themselves for the weapons they export to Ukraine. It's not aid. It's paying themselves for the weapons they produce in wars in other countries, where other people's futures are destroyed, homes are destroyed, and where other people are killed by their bombs. So, whatever happens, nothing is going to change. It's only going to get worse. So we must be prepared for American elections. Wow! Yes. Not wow, but oh my God. OMG, oh my God. The second part of American elections is that whoever wins, its decline is irreversible. We are heading to $2 trillion of commercial deficit, trading deficit. They're importing $2 trillion more than they're exporting. They're spending more than $2 trillion per year on interest on their debt, which is almost $37 trillion. They have enormous military budget, almost $2 trillion. So when you put 2 trillion, 2 trillion, 2 trillion, it's trillions and trillions, and there's no money coming in. Big American companies are crashing. Lots of banks are crashing. We had a major catastrophe, 2 in a row in Florida, which has been destroyed. We have hurricanes in Texas, Oklahoma, in the Midwest. California has been systematically destroyed and is suffering mass out-migration. People are leaving California. There is an exodus of Americans moving to Mexico, Costa Rica, Santo Domingo. They're even thinking of relocating to Argentina. Unbelievable. Canada is suffering one of the worst crises it has ever suffered. So the situation in North America is very chaotic and very dangerous. And when you have this kind of situation, their solution has been war. War on others, blame the others, hunt the others, create panic, so that the people don't point their fingers at themselves, they point the fingers at others. We will see in a few days who will win the election. It will be a very traumatic affair, like the last election, when mobs sponsored by the extreme right, Republican Party, Trump and his followers, invaded the Congress and almost killed a lot of people inside. And then they speak of democracy. When they point their finger at the rest of the world, they accuse other countries of not being democratic. And their kind of democracy is buying votes, buying elections, fake news, falsifying news, and all kinds of election fraud. In the last couple of elections, we have had many frauds, and in the last cases, it's been done through all kinds of problematic checking. In any case, the world has their eyes open, because the United States today is probably one of the major factors why we have so much war, so much suffering, so much racism around the world. Even the European allies are fed up of American interference and putting everybody in NATO to fight the Russians, everybody supporting Israel, everybody supporting France and Africa for all kinds of military coups d'etats. The Europeans are fed up. In the last couple of months, principal European leaders, the German leader, Meloni, the Italian leader, even Macron, have been moving to India and asking India for help and for trade relations, because they have blamed China and Russia for everything, and now the Russians and Chinese do not want to trade with them. And they realize that the Chinese basically were buying many of the high-level European products. And now the Chinese have stopped buying cognac and expensive cheese and expensive luxury products. So we are having a second crash in Europe, where the luxury industry is crashing. So this has created a bouncy world. The seesaw is moving, and it's moving down for the Europeans and Americans and moving up for countries like Russia, China, India, and the global south. These economies are growing at 3 to 4 times the rate of Europe and America, which means that in 3 years' time, there will be more discrepancy. These countries will develop more and will dominate world trade. Today, the BRICS plus 13 represent more than 80% of the global population, 50% of global GDP, 50% of global growth, 50% of investment, maybe much more. Because if you separate the Magnificent Seven. What are they? Magnificent Seven. Nvidia, Meta, Microsoft, Amazon, Google, and a few other companies. They are what is the backbone of the United States. If you take these companies out, the real financial situation of the West becomes very, very dangerous. And these companies are relocating to the global south. They're investing in Africa and India, in Southeast Asia. So the real situation is very, very precarious for the G7, the West. Now, the consequence of the American election, we will see in our next video. So please, come back and subscribe for the next video so you know when we are posting it. Thank you very much.